morning to everybody and welcome. We're restarting our regular webinars with the Workplace Wellbeing Association, following on from our very successful face-to-face event at the Chelsea Physique Garden, which was extremely well attended. We had fabulous weather and it was lovely to see people face-to-face. We're here with Nichola Adams. She's our keynote speaker for today. It's a great pleasure to welcome her. Nicola's been a big supporter of the association down the ages, I said, but really it's maybe the last couple of years. But it's really great to welcome you here. Also as panelists, we've got Claire Gibbs, we've got Varsha Khatri and Matthew Critchlow, and I'd like to welcome the panelists as well. And they'll be joining in with the panel session towards the end. Nichola, I'd very much warmly like to welcome you. You're the founder of Inspired Ergonomics, and you're a leading player in the well-being in the workplace from the perspective of ergonomics. That you've got a lot of accreditations in terms of being a technical member of the Chartered Institute of Environmental Health, the Chartered Institute of Ergonomics and Human Factors. I can go on this, and your LinkedIn profile is extremely informative. So thank you for taking the time to join us. Nicola's in her consulting rooms, and there were a range of different chairs in the background, and probably it was better to blur it, but it's great to have you here, and it's great to welcome you, Nichola.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
So really, we just wanted to have a little bit of an interaction with you and to get your opinion on the situation around working from home. And does offering hybrid and home working, you think, make an employer more attractive these days?
Definitely. I think employees are really looking for that hybrid way of working. I have a lot of different clients and a variety of law firms amongst many universities and more global companies, but everybody's doing things slightly differently. So I've noticed the younger law firms, for instance, are getting everybody back full-time or as much as possible in the office, but the majority are offering more of a hybrid way of working because it's really being driven by the employee. They want more of a work-life balance, and they may be working just as hard, but they want to be around in the home a little bit more. Maybe they move further away from their place of work during COVID, and the commuting is expensive. So it works well for the employer and employee. It's a bit of a give and take, but everybody's just finding their way still. There's still a lot of change happening as to how this is really going to settle down in the long term. This flip point of that is those who are doing hybrid working, it's now reverted to a hot desking environment in the office, which doesn't suit everyone. So there's pros and cons for all different ways of working. And the new graduate is really going to benefit from being in the office and learning from their more experienced colleagues and getting experience in the culture.
Nichola, thank you very much. We've just had a few more people join us, and we're here with Nichola Adams, an expert in ergonomics and well-being in the workplace. Nichola, in terms of working from home, from your perspective, what can go wrong?
Lots. It's all very different for different people. We're all individuals, and that's translated into how we've set up our home environments. We've got the younger people who are maybe in a shared space. They're having to work from their bedroom to get for their confidential Zoom calls that's still happening, as indeed we are here today, and not necessarily having a space within a space for a desk and a chair to work more comfortably long term. So I've been seeing a huge impact during the pandemic, and it's still coming out, a huge increase in the number of back issues, shoulder and actual visual issues as well, caused from an incorrect work setup at home. And employers have been very slow actually to support people properly just through maybe some education or giving them some resources to buy equipment for a more suitable setup. So there are challenges. When it's right, it's fantastic. When it's wrong, not so good. And we're seeing the impact of that. I'm seeing younger and younger people coming to us actually with those back issues from their exposure of working correctly at home.
Nichola, what are employers' obligations in respect of when they have somebody working at home, either hybrid or full-time remote?
Yeah, it changed. The HSE, there's a Health and Safety Executive DSE Act, which is the Health and Safety Executive Display Screen Equipment Act, which helps to look after anybody working with display screen equipment, which is basically a computer, for more than, say, an hour a day. It wasn't until November that they actually changed the guidance to cover those people working from home. But now employers are obliged to ensure that people are working safely from home and provide reasonable adjustments for those people who are there, the same as if they were in the office. So the way that employers are interpreting that is actually some are supporting both environments, others are saying, well, we'll only support you in the place that you're working most frequently. So that's why there's a little bit of a grey area, but it is a bit of a moral responsibility there as well.
You said you used the word obliged there.
Yeah.
Does that mean there's a legal obligation?
There's the HSE DSE Act is a legal obligation to look after employees when they be working at home frequently, or if they're in the office.
Now, are there any obligations on the employee? So say they decide that they've got a contract where they're office working and they say, I want to work from home now.
Yeah.
What obligations have they got to arrange their home environment?
They hopefully the employer will give them some guidance, and if they are given guidance, then they're obliged to look at that and to make the necessary changes themselves. But that does rely on the employer giving that information to them in the first place. But if it is given, then they need to be proactive and look after themselves. So we deal a lot with home worker assessments as well as the office. If we are doing a one-to-one, we help provide the people with the education that they need to make those changes. And then they work with the employers to what they're going to support, what extra equipment or what changes they're going to support for their employee working from home. There are also a lot of companies who provide questionnaires to try and pick up at-risk people, but there are also online tools that help educate people. If you've got a lot of employees working, you'll probably want to use a software tool to educate them that way. We've actually just developed our own, which is exciting because we didn't really feel there was a tool out there that was fit for purpose, that was nice and easy to use and gave the proper education. But that is one way to educate a lot of people at a limited cost.
Nichola, those are some great answers. Beyond the legal, what moral responsibilities do you think the employer has?
It's we see people, it's almost heartbreaking. We see people really, really struggling when they've got a pain point and they just get stuck in this loop of pain. Then stress occurs and that further impacts their experience of pain. And of course, it happens vice versa. Stress can cause the pain itself. It's really, when you've got someone working, your greatest asset are your people. And if you're going to enable them to work to their best of their ability, it's really important that they're pain-free. So it's not only a moral responsibility to look after that person and care for them, but you're also going to get more from them as well. So ergonomics is proven to have about a £3 return for every pound spent because you're reducing that loss of productivity from people struggling, often silently with back pain or any other sort of musculoskeletal issue. Also, the time to go to see the physiotherapist, the frustration, the stress, all of those things can impact on people's work and therefore what they're able to deliver to the company. So it's a win-win. You're providing and showing that you care for the employee, but you're also helping the company be more productive itself.
Nichola, thank you very much. What can employers do to protect their position legally in respect of people working from home? Are there steps, if you had to say there are 5 things you have to do or something, one of these magic things that you come up with, what would you say an employer should do if they've got people? And this is it could be for any employer where suddenly people have always been in office and now they're at home. What does he have to do or she have to do to safeguard themselves?
Really provide the education. Provide the education and a way for people to hold up their hand and feel safe in doing so if they are struggling and need some extra support. But education is absolutely key. I mean, we're still seeing people using laptops just on the table, and all you need is a separate keyboard and mouse to then raise that laptop, and instantly you sit up, you open up your chest, you stop the pain coming from down the back of your neck. And you prevent RSI issues, and that's a £20 to £30 cost. So there's some really basic, simple things that you can do. Education about sitting height, education about how we should ensure neutral postures. They're actually really straightforward and simple, but it's that education that is so key.
So the employers have to demonstrate that they have provided the education needed, and they would need to maybe have some kind of standard course, and there needs to be some kind of participation from the employee, and you need to document that that's taken place, and you need to chase people who haven't responded. So people just have to be meticulous about it.
Yes, absolutely, and even better if you can document it, but at the very, very least, send out some good guidance. It just needs to be PDFs. It doesn't need to be expensive. If you've got a tool, that's great, because it does a couple of things all at the same time. But you can, even if you're just doing the basics and providing people with education of 5 steps, 5 simple ways to ensure that you're working healthily at the desk, can be hugely beneficial.
Have you got those 5 simple steps?
I probably have. Well, okay, so let me think. So it'll be screen height. So the screen height should be at around eye level height, so that you're not looking down, bending your neck. It should be centrally focused, so you're not twisting your neck constantly either. So if you're using 2 screens, those should be centrally in front of you in like a V. Sitting height is absolutely key. So even if you're using a dining chair and a dining table, make sure that your sitting elbow height is level with the top of the table with your shoulder relaxed, so that you're not having to flick your wrists up or shrug your shoulders. And so a really simple way of doing that is to maybe use some cushions on your chair. And if you're just using a laptop, as I referred to earlier, just raise that screen height and use a separate keyboard and mouse. What else is there? Movement is absolutely key. So getting up, moving around, even if you don't have a sit-stand desk adaptation, you can use a higher chest of drawers to go and take your laptop over there, maybe 10 minutes in every hour. But movement is so important. So really make sure you build in some exercise. Really easy not to do when you're working from home, and just go from the bed and onto the desk and sit in your chair all day. So make sure you try and get some, maybe do a pretend commute is a really good thing.
Okay, brilliant.
Have a bit of a crazy break now and then during the day to get the blood flowing through your muscles.
So Nichola, that was a really great summary. It's good to have those 5 golden tips, and we should get you to put those up on our website. That'd be really brilliant. Is about the working from home thing, what messaging needs to be sent to the employees?
Just to really make sure that they are providing that education, that they're creating a culture where people do feel as though they're able to alert them if they are struggling in any way. Maybe that is stress or a musculoskeletal issue, but it's important to get that addressed as quickly as possible, because if we've been struggling for pain for more than 6 weeks, it tips into a chronic pain issue. And then it's much harder to get out of that than it is if we address it really early on. So it's really important. The employee must feel as though it's safe to do so, to alert the employer if there's a problem, to seek assistance from their line manager, because it's not only going to help them, but it will also help the company.
Now, putting your hand into your ergonomics magic bag, what would you pull out to say an employer could use in the sphere of economics to encourage people to come back into the office to work?
So there's a lot of the hot desking, but what I'm seeing actually is companies making the mistake of thinking that they're going to design the office to be more homely, but then they're bringing in all the dangers of the home, like that dining chair, that non-adjustable chair, into the office. And so they're making those critical mistakes. So it's just getting some education of how to look after people's back health, and how to encourage movement as well during the day, to support employers when they come back.
So if you've got sort of breakout area, lounge chairs, and people are working there long term, that's the worst thing they could be doing.
It is. It's really important that people understand what spaces to use and when. Breakout areas are fantastic. They're really nice communication areas, but don't sit with your laptop there for hours. Because it's a nice comfy sofa. It's all about variety. So when we talk about sit-stand desks, when we talk about comfortable sofas, when we talk about sitting at the desk, it's all about variety. It's making the most of all the different environments during the day, because our back and muscles love the movement, love the change of different spaces and environments to support different positions.
Yeah. And Nichola, that's fantastic. Before we go to our open forum, could you, is there anything else you haven't covered that you'd like to mention?
I don't think so. I think we covered most of it. It's the specifics if we had time to drill down into them, but I think we've covered the broader aspects of it. But so please ask me any questions.
Okay, brilliant. So we've got a few, our panelists, which is the Workplace Wellbeing Association management team. We've got Claire Gibbs, who is manning the controls behind the scenes here. It's always great to have her helping with these calls and helping with all the coordination of them. Vash Khatri, she's the head of Illuminated Health, nutritionist, yoga teacher, great enthusiast for workplace wellbeing. Matthew Critchlow is one of the veterans of workplace wellbeing, even before it was a term, and he's been working away for more than a decade at improving wellbeing in working life, and he's been involved in various public initiatives to improve well-being. And Vera, it's great to welcome you. Vera's head of employee engagement at Ovation Incentives. So it's great to have you on as our panel. Welcome. Are you okay, Vera? Everything all right?
Yes, thank you. Apologies for me being late. I was on the wrong place.
Yes, but we can hear you clearly. And Matthew, your mic's working, isn't it? You're muted at the moment. I was just going to.
It is. I'm actually, however, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I'm in Starbucks Budapest, and you might hear some coffee being ground behind me.
Okay. Well, I was in the same city a couple of weeks ago, so
oh, really?
I know how good the coffee can be. But
yes. I'm sampling a few places.
Okay, good. So look, I just wondered if Varsha, obviously there's a little bit of an overlap here with your sphere of discipline, particularly in the area of yoga. Is there anything you want to ask Nichola, or anything you'd like to comment, really?
Well, very informative, and also I love the 5 golden tips or rules. I've jotted them down. I'm like, okay, and it's good reminders about how important even things simple as screen height is. But my question is, where can people learn more? So someone like me who works for themselves, and where can we turn to learn more? Tell us maybe about your website or any links you have or any resources.
Yeah, there's such a wealth of information out there on the internet, and it's can be very confusing information, very contradictory information.
Yeah,
particularly when it comes to equipment, it's a whole great maze. And so actually most of our job is navigating through that maze of equipment, let alone everything else. But yes, no, we actually do have a guide that I can give people. So if they reach out to me with on the email info@inspiredergonomics.com, I can send them a free PDF. There is a link on the website. I can give it to you, Andrew, and you can put it out later. There's seven simple ways of ensuring that your back is healthy when you're working. We have got that guide.
Okay.
And there's lots of other information on the website, and we can also provide the online tool training as well. But yeah, no, we've got lots of free things that we can give people.
Wonderful. Yeah, you're right. It is very confusing because like yoga and like nutrition, there's so much conflicting information out there that sometimes you're like, well, who do I believe? And, where do I turn to? And am I buying the right things? And so, yes, it'd be great to, thank you. So thank you for sharing the guide as well. So
there's also a chair guide, I think, as well, because that's the real maze. Because every chair out there is ergonomic, but it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Barsha, thank you very much. Matthew, any thoughts from you?
Yeah, there are a couple of things on the ergonomic side. Actually, the first one, which is quite a simple thing about, I just remember my first job years ago being told that you should look away from your screen every 20 minutes, just so that your eyes, the muscles, I know they're very small and not as big as the ones in the back, but your eye muscles need to sort of flex, and you need to be able to look into infinity every so often. I don't know if that's true, every 20 minutes or so, I think.
Absolutely.
I remember.
That's the 20-20-20 rule. So looking away every 20 minutes from your screen for 20 seconds, about 20 feet away. Just to refocus, because actually during the home working, everybody was just, when you're working from home, you're not naturally looking away from your screen very much. So we really had to integrate that 20-20 to try and help people with dry eyes, watery eyes, people getting blurry vision, all sorts. And actually, my daughter, who's studying neuroscience, has just done new research that blue screen filters really do work, not only to help reduce the strain on the eyes, but also increase heart rate. So a lot of people were starting to wear blue screen filter glasses or a blue screen filter on their computer screen. And anecdotal evidence, and now her research is showing that is actually.
What about the night on that front? Because I use the nighttime option on the actual computer, which I can see that it goes more orange. But is that as effective, or would you recommend a physical screen in front of your laptop screen?
Yeah, some laptops have integrated filters, and actually the monitor I use has an integrated blue light filter. But if you don't have that, then you can have these sort of magnetic clip-ons that just fit onto it. It's like privacy screens, also blue light filters. Just helps reduce the strain on the eye. But there's also that one on your phone is also for nighttime to sort of stop it affecting the melatonin levels, so you can still sleep.
If could I have just one more, if I may, just on the chairs, and I just wondered, is there a sort of independent source of information and sort of recommendations on the best make of chairs? Because I have to say, I'm in the market to buy a new one, and I just wondered if there is a sort of professional assessment, independent assessment that highlights the best chairs.
That's a lot of our work. Actually, we do in our individual consultations. We talk to people about what is going to be the best chair for them, because it comes down to your body measurements and also what sort of issues you're experiencing as to what is going to be the right chair for you. I've actually designed my own chairs, which are Corrigo design chairs. But we also have, through our consultancy work, we have an independent advisory of the other types of chairs that we would recommend. So there's about 5 top chairs that we would normally suggest to people, depending on their body measurements and what particularly is going on, because it also depends on the budget. And so depending on how many issues you're experiencing, it depends on what level you need to go to. The more expensive chairs tend to have more adjustments. But yeah, definitely just email me and I can send you some suggestions. That'll be great. No problem at all.
I'd like to call on our last panel member just to say a few words, but I was wondering whether we might have a question from one of our delegates. If you'd like to put...
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Vera. Yeah.
Sorry, staying on the chair topic. So I'm using a Pilates ball as a chair. What are your thoughts on that? Is that good,
It's
bad?
a very common one. And I do like them because they create the movement, which is great, and they help you engage your core, and it's good to have that movability. But there are a few downsides in that it's difficult to get the ball to the right height so the elbows level with the top of the desk, and it's also difficult to maintain that core for long periods of time. So normally I suggest mixing and matching. So hopefully you have a chair that you can take a break from the ball and a ball that you can take a break from the chair. It's that variety piece again. So you could do ball, stand, chair, stand, ball. Just get some variety into the day. And make sure the ball is inflated to the height where your elbows can be left at the top of the table.
Oh, perfect. Thank you very
Vera,
much.
any other questions, Vera?
Yes, can I? Am I allowed
Go
to?
ahead, go ahead.
So for the movement, and I really agree with you, since we're working from home, I find it really, I look at the clock and it's lunchtime and I hadn't got up since 9 a.m. from my desk. So do you have any strategies that you offer to employers to implement to kind of remind them to get up and do stuff?
Yeah, I talk a lot about, because a lot of people get reluctant. They think it's going to be taken away and they're stuck to the screen, particularly lawyers, and they can't spare the time. So I talk about the Pomodoro technique, which is taking a break every 50 minutes. You know, you do your really focused piece of work for 50 minutes and then you take a small break. So I say, the guidance is to stand at least every hour. So I say, well, every 50 minutes, maybe stand, do a quick walk around, and before sitting back down again. But I suggest a crazy break, because which is a dance break. So do a little boogie, because it just rapidly gets all the blood and the oxygen back into the muscles and tissues, and boost the oxygen in the brain as well. Also star jumps, just really kind of boost your energy and the blood flow to help your muscles recover from that.
Oh, I like that. Crazy break. I love
Crazy
it. Thank
break.
you very much.
That's all right.
Vera, thank you very much. Thank you to the panel for bombarding Nichola with a few questions. So we're at the end of our session. We've reached our allotted time, half an hour. It was an experiment to see if we could have a brief webinar and see if it was enjoyable as a long one. But certainly it's been delightful that we've sailed through the questions really quickly. Nichola, thank you for making yourself available today. It's great. It was great to see you at our face-to-face event. And our next webinar is it's every third Wednesday of the month, going automatically. And our next one is the 19th of October at the same time, 10 o'clock, on the same link, the same Zoom link. So I'd like to thank our delegates for coming, and any questions, just put it in the chat. I'll leave this, I'll leave the session open. If you wanted to leave any questions or wanted to have a follow-up discussion, please do that now in the chat. But I'd like to finally hand back to Nichola for maybe saying some closing words.
Just thank you very much for having me. It's been a delight, and I've really enjoyed participating in all your events and meeting all you wonderful people as well. But I just hope that those tips were helpful, and it's lovely. We work in a very holistic way as well, so we often signpost people on when we see that they need more support. So it's wonderful hearing how you help as well.
Thank you very much, everybody. All the best. See you very soon on the 19th of October.
Thank you, Nichola. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you.